Hi, my name is Anjali Dada. To introduce myself, I am a pessimist who turned into an optimist with the curveballs that life threw at me. I am brimming to share with all of you some little tidbits of my life today, my life's joyous ride, and how this transition happened for me. I am a wife and an autism mom. I'm a special educator and a watercolor artist. I presently run an NGO for those affected with autism and their families in a small city of Punjab called Jalandhar. Every one person in 53 has autism. It's a wide spectrum where an individual or a child could be very withdrawn and have difficulties learning, or just be the opposite, a genius. In fact, Einstein was said to have had autism too. People with autism handle changes with a lot of difficulty. They prefer predictable lives. Doesn't it make you think we all feel the same way at some time in our lives? So let me start at the very beginning of my very ordinary life. I'm an army brat who did her schooling in a boarding school in Shimla. There, I formed some very strong opinions early on in life. One of these being that I was a pessimist and proud to be so. It was a matter of great pride for me to show those around me everything that was wrong with any situation or any event. I moved on to college and then journalism, a profession that I felt was very much suited to my then gloomy mind state. After working for a short while with some leading newspapers, I got married and stepped into the role of a wife and then a mother. The cynical me was now having a field day. I had a new audience for all my negative thoughts in my in-laws and my husband. Within a year of my son being born, my best friend, who had known and loved me since 6th grade, just had enough of me and introduced me to a philosophy that was to change my life forever. Always having been an avid reader, I was immediately attracted to the amount of books this new philosophy offered me and how it encouraged an exploration and improvement of self. Have you ever had that moment where you feel, this is it? I wish I'd known this all along. Suddenly I felt as though someone had introduced me to me. I connected to the philosophy of value creation immediately because I realized that we human beings are originally meant to live happy lives. I resonated with that thought. It's as simple as that. It's the essential feeling we are born with, but it gets diminished over time and with the conditioning we pick up as we grow up over the years. Meanwhile, my son turned 2 and we realized that he was behaving very differently than the other children his age. I remember reading somewhere, suffer what there is to suffer and enjoy what there is to enjoy. And suffer we indeed did as the word autism suddenly came up in our lives. The next 2 years that followed were dark days indeed. Denial, fear, agony, anger. These feelings came up in waves as we realized what might be coming up for us. I was locked in a very, very lonely and scary world, wondering if I was somehow at fault for my son's autism. I struggled inwardly, at one moment hoping, please don't let it be so, and at another, reminding myself that I could not go back to the old thought process and could not give way to the frightening feelings that were threatening to take over. It was in those days that I realized how learning can eradicate any fear and action can lessen all suffering. Hailing from a small city, there was absolutely no guidance for autism, so we decided to go to Delhi to explore for answers there. Each day, I was also becoming increasingly aware of how our son was trapped in a world of very little communication and immense confusion. I also knew he wanted to communicate with us. He just could not find the way to do so. This is what all children with autism go through, wanting to interact, but unable to do so because language is so confusing. They have all the feelings that you and me have, but are often unable to express them. I knew we had to connect with him before he receded completely within himself. We looked for a place of guidance and soon found one of the top institutes of South Asia to train us. Action indeed lessened my suffering. As I plunged into my training, I felt more in control each day. This is something that I share even today with all the autism parents that I connect with. As soon as we are proactive about our children, we feel more in control and the feelings of helplessness automatically recede. Get out there, learn what your children are going through, be flexible, be open, and relearn if need be. It was a time of great activity in our lives as we tried to learn and train ourselves as much as we could. At the same time, I continued an inner dialogue with myself. Why did this come into my life? What was it here to teach me? I was determined not to give in to despair or any complaints. I decided to take one day at a time, making each moment count and learn as much as I could. The crucial time again taught me learning can eradicate fear and action can lessen any suffering. I also decided joy would always be an integral part of our lives. We made a conscious decision that even as a special needs family, we would live like everyone else around us. We also wanted our son to grow up with the feeling that he was fabulous, just as he was. After all, we can be different, but that does not make us wrong. Oh, and please do note, we abhor the word disability. Differences don't make us any less able than those around us. At the same time, another thought took seat as I began to search for the answers to why us. I became convinced it was because we were meant to find our mission here in this very difficulty. Each of us comes with our set of challenges in life. They can either hold us back or propel us forward. As I reflected upon this, I realized how there was no place to get the correct guidance for autism in our city. Even the correct diagnosis took us years to come by. So that was it. We had our starting point. I was also bursting to share with other parents all that I had learned. There was another nagging concern for my son that was really troubling me. He was now showing so many signs of improvement that I wanted this progress to continue unhindered. So I began to explore and discuss the possibilities with my mentors, guides, and family. It's truly amazing how when we set out with the right intent, the environment offers us support in mystical ways. I received wholehearted encouragement from everyone and each offered all the support they could give. We got back to Jalandhar and immediately tried to find other parents with autism. My NGO started from our garage with borrowed furniture and 4 families. Here, I must mention my support system, my husband, in-laws, my family and friends who were so intent on doing what they could to support this endeavor, and they gave me a free hand in all my decisions. Another huge step we took as special needs parents was to talk to all our friends and family about our son and autism. This opened the doors of acceptance for our son. All our near and dear ones tried to understand all about this condition. I even received some letters from my son's friends wanting to know more about his way of living. This taught me a very important life lesson, that true goodness does exist around us. We just need to open ourselves to receiving it. At the same time, many schools refused to take in my son. I then realized what a huge task we had ahead of us. We decided our NGO would be the answer to all of this. One of our first programs was teaching other mothers like me. India is a country where the rural population outnumbers the urban. We started with the intent that all families must have access to knowledge and know-how. Deep inside, I also wanted each mother to feel the same sense of control that I had felt when I had begun to learn how to connect and teach my child. It has been indeed rightly said, you are truly empowered only to the extent that you empower others. We also had a deep desire that autism should become a familiar term to facilitate inclusion and acceptance for all such individuals in our city and surrounding areas. After a nail-biting year of searching, we did eventually find a truly inclusive school who took in my son. I still remember the day the school told us, we don't want to see what we can teach him. We want to see what he can teach us. Even today, when I remember the day, little heart emojis pop up in my head. My son found true friends who appreciated his abilities and accepted his differences. I still remember the day when a senior in school called him pagal or mad. His classmates immediately rushed to his side to tell the senior, he has autism. He is not mad. He is so good at math, music and computers, another class fellow piped in. This was truly one of the aha moments of our life. Today, my son is 19 years old, independent, literate, expressive and a handsome young man with great self-esteem. He is truly proud of who he is. He is who he is because of a family and community who embraced him without any conditions. As for us and our life, we have believed in living it to the fullest. We laugh, celebrate the smallest of victories, cry and worry together. No, it's not been easy, but definitely worth every bit as we have lived it to the fullest. Happiness is not by chance, but by choice. A few years back, I started a simple practice of expressing and writing down my gratitude every day. This time I spent consciously to appreciate even the smallest thing in my life has added to the joy I feel each day in being alive in the present moment, here and now. There is a quote I read the other day that stayed with me. Joy is what happens to us when we recognize how good things are. From a start with 4 families, we now support more than 400 families around the country and abroad. My NGO is indeed my Karambhumi, my place of mission. On a low day, and I do have my share of them, I know there is that one place that will always cheer me up. That's my NGO. On such days, I walk into the work that I feel passionate about and I walk out smiling. I remember reading that the word passion finds its roots in the Latin word passio and the Greek word suffering. Indeed, when I let it be so, my suffering led me to a work that I'm most passionate about, and that consequently has given me the greatest happiness. Autism is no longer a strange new word here in our little corner of the world. As for me, autism has been the bridge to the better side of me. Thank you so much.